Three major companies with market caps over 400 billion just hit fresh 52-week highs this week, rewarding shareholders and moving the markets. Visa, the payment processing champion and synonymous with credit cards. Johnson & Johnson, one of the largest healthcare and innovative medicine companies. And AbbVie, one of the largest drug makers in the world. All three of these stocks hit 52-week highs this week. And these aren't just hype stocks. They are stable, cash flow giants that have been around the block. So let's see why they are surging. First up is Johnson & Johnson, and this one is all about stability. Healthcare demand doesn't care about recessions, elections, or market volatility. Johnson & Johnson is seeing purchases by members of Congress. Anytime members of Congress have increased in a stock, it tends to read as insiders buying, which points to optimism in the stock. Factor in as well, earlier this year, they announced another dividend increase, marking the 64th year in a row they have increased their dividends, keeping them in the status as a true dividend aristocrat stock. Investors are rotating into safety, and Johnson & Johnson is being considered one of the safest companies in the entire market. When people want stability, they buy healthcare, and Johnson & Johnson is being viewed as that stability. Next is AbbVie, another healthcare stock like Johnson & Johnson, who is continuing to pay dividends and increase them as well. They recently received positive news for their EPCOR DLBCL trial that is in phase 3. When a drug is in phase 3, this is the final step in testing of a new drug before gaining regulatory approval, and positive results bolster this drug of getting approval and adding to AbbVie's arsenal of products. Then you have AbbVie and their acquisition of AbbVie Therapeutics. This should help boost their immunology pipeline as the acquisition gives them access to AbbVie's lead drug candidate, which is a treatment that targets inflammatory diseases like asthma. This 52-week high also shows how the company has been doing from a market cap perspective, propelling it past 400 billion and hitting levels it has never hit before. Margins are improving, guidance is strong, and the pipeline looks better than investors expected. Let's now finish with Visa, who is an interesting case to see the stock's movements. Back in April, Visa had just hit a 52-week low due to a research paper by Centrini stating how in the future consumers would want less frictionless purchases, and AI has the ability to disrupt Visa as well as MasterCard's core business model. So for the stock to have bounced back from the 52-week low by 20% to hit a 52-week high shows investors are optimistic or drowning out that noise. Visa also had a strong earnings result in late April, with EPS and revenue each being up by over 17% year over year. They also authorized an additional $20 billion in share buybacks, a huge amount. Factor in as well, it recently received upgrades to its price target in the 390 range, as well as the announcement of a new product in the Visa Threat Intelligence platform that can allow institutions to respond and detect financial fraud cases. And it has momentum that has pushed the stock to a 52-week high currently. Visa is basically a toll booth on global commerce. Every time someone buys anything, Visa gets paid. So as long as the consumer doesn't break, Visa could keep climbing. So what do Visa, Johnson & Johnson, and AbbVie have in common? They're all quality companies with strong cash flow and business models that don't break in a slowdown. Looking at a year ago, Johnson & Johnson and AbbVie have returned to shareholders gains of 69 and 39% respectively, while Visa is only up 1.5% from a year ago. And all three of these stocks pay a dividend as well, rewarding shareholders with passive income on top of their gains. Visa shows consumer strength, Johnson & Johnson shows defensive stability, AbbVie shows pharma resilience. These three stocks are hitting new highs because the market is rewarding quality again. And here's the twist. While these three hit new highs, three other companies hit fresh 52-week lows last week. AT&T, Mattel, and X-Energy Inc. are breaking down, and the contrast between these two groups tells you everything about where the market is potentially heading. I covered their recent 52-week lows in another video. This is Money Discussions. Follow for fast breakdowns, and check out the lows video to see the other side of the market and why those companies are slipping. Let me know in the comments below about which of the stocks of Visa, Johnson & Johnson, and AbbVie interest you the most, and which you think is going to perform the best. Like and subscribe for more content.